focusing again, and we are back over here in the inner workings of Randyland. And we didn't get in very far from the door, and right away it's like, oh, what's this? Oh, what's that? Because we see so many fun things just laying around. You know, stuff is always laying around. Like, you know, you walk by here, there's stuff laying around. Here's a bag of stuff. Now, this is probably an important bag of stuff because it's here. Now, what could it be? Oh, look. An empty quarter box. You see? $500 in quarters. And I have a bag of empty quarter boxes. So there are 4 quarter boxes in this bag. So that represented $2,000 worth of quarters that I had to drag from the bank. And here's another bag full of them. And here's more quarter boxes. And here's more quarter boxes. And no, they're not full of quarters. But why would you save the quarter boxes? Well, you know, they actually make good boxes for putting stuff in. You know, like if you want to put parts or something like that, and they're pretty good. You can't see through them, but they stack up nicely. Oh, look what you have under here. I know what it is, because this is a dead giveaway. There's a cable, and so buried in here, oh, everything's gonna go flying. It's a whack-a-mole hammer. There's another one. So somewhere along the line, I bought a couple whack-a-mole hammers in anticipation of going to need them, because they wear them out by banging on the machine. They bang on the whack-a-moles. As you know, you'll see another film clip when we're doing whack-a-moles. Bang, bang. And they ruin them, and they're expensive. This is a ship horn. It's brass. If you look under the paint, where it's kind of like scratched there. This is a brass horn. And this is the type of thing you would find on a ship out at sea. And think of it like the Navy. And all the sailors would go running. Well, so you have a ship horn. And I used it for some gadget, whatever. Look, I bought it for $30. How about that? 115-volt AC brass horn. So how do you not buy it when you see it's available for $30? You'd have to buy it. Oh, look at this guy. Look at that. He's a Christmas caroler. You see? Now, I didn't go shopping necessarily for a Christmas caroler, but somewhere along the line I found him, and, he just wanted to go home with me. So he's been here laying around for a while, and he's probably eyeing up my giant pretzel. Yes, people would kill for this. When you go by the soft pretzel stands on the boardwalk years ago, they used to have hanging from the ceiling, it would usually hang like this, the giant pretzel. There'd be 2 eye hooks, one of them pulled out here. The giant soft pretzel with the little white things with salt on there. And this is made of styrofoam, and some company made the mold and made these giant pretzels, and they were a point-of-sale item for stands that ran giant pretzels. And this would probably cost, back then, maybe $100. Again, money's different. That's several $100s today. And not all the stands that sold pretzels would buy these. But, I had a couple of them hanging. And, of course, as I go, they go. They come along with me. And, oh, what the hell? Oh, look at this. You wouldn't know what this is. I know what this is. And the only reason it's there is because there's 2 of them, and I picked them up somewhere because I know I needed them. These are coin mechs. The coin goes in the hole at the top, and if you pull this out, the coin will come down and around, and a little weight balance here. There's a weight balancer. There's a magnet, which is going to grab any coins that are not precious metal, like slugs, and that's a distance setter also. You have these adjustments. So you're checking to see it's a coin. This is for a quarter. Go in, it would go this way, go through an optic on this one. This could be a coin switch, but it's an optic. If it's rejected, it'll come out this way, and then it'll go down here. This one has a differential, which will guide the coin one way or another with a solenoid. Okay, you see that? It will move the motion of the coin from one direction to another by the solenoid being activated by the computer that's running it. Now, this is from a slot machine. That's why it has a differential, because this is a paid coin. And the machine is keeping track of how many coins are in the hopper to dispense back to people. And if it needs more coins in the hopper, it'll deflect it so it'll come down this chute and go into the hopper. But if the hopper has plenty of coins and it doesn't need more coins, then it's a profit coin, and the deflector will stay in this position so it goes down there and goes into the profit cash box. So it's not just the coin goes in and it triggers a switch. The coin is tested for validity. The coin is activated, then the machine tells it which way to send it, and there's another counter. This is an optic here also that would count the coins that are going down into the cash box, so it knows how many coins are in the cash box. It knows how many coins by default were gone through the first count and didn't go this way, so it knows how many coins went into the hopper. So it keeps track of how many coins are where. And this has a plug on the bottom, so it easily slides down into a housing and makes all the connections, and therefore could be pulled out for service. Oh, what is this? This is, look, the Black Knight Axe Hatchet. You see? Now, why would you buy a Black Knight Axe Hatchet? Because it says Black Knight, and it goes with the Black Knight pinball theme, you see? So if you have a Black Knight pinball and you're in the store and you see they have a Black Knight Axe Hatchet, you have to buy this. You see, it's an impulse buy. And then it ends up laying near my Christmas caroler and my giant pretzel up there. And it's all standing on top of a rotary merchandiser. And it's a 6-player, I believe. Yes, it's a 6-player rotary merchandiser. So it's rather large, and people can play at different stations. There's a giant mirror in the middle that turns around, and each one has an arm that when you push the button, here's the button, okay, on the green arm, you push the button, and the arm would swing out, and you try to knock the prize off of the mirror down your hole, which is the green hole, and then you would get it here inside the thing. Now, inside there, I have the best prize of all. Look, I have Randy bobbleheads. You see that? It's the perfect prize. The superhero. He's wonderful. It's the Randy, your very own Mr. Fascination bobblehead. So there they are inside my rotary merchandiser. Of course, you have dual coin slots like we were just showing you. But if you look inside here, this is actually a complicated machine. You see how deep it goes inside? All motors and cams and swing arms. And this is the swing arm for your particular arm that's going to come out. And there's sensor switches all around. And there's even a speaker in there, so it probably has music. And down here is a cash box where you would get all your coins and all your money from this particular position. And these things make a lot of money if you're in a strong location and it's an area that has the space for this kind of machine. This particular one came from the boardwalk here in Wildwood. And a good friend of mine at the time, Marty Shapiro, he gave me this. This was one of his favorite machines, and he gave it to me. Now, why did he give it to me? Well, I'll tell you, it's an interesting story. At one point, between my Big Top Carnival of Fun and then I started with Randyland, between that time that I got the two places, I filled in at Gateway, and I was working for them as their mechanic and also running the show on the microphone. And Marty asked me if I could fix this machine, and I said, well, what's the matter with it? He didn't like the timing on it. Well, what he meant was, on a rotary merchandiser, when you push this button to stop, or should I say to swing your arm, you push the button, the arm should swing. And that gives the player the feeling that he has control over it. And this machine wasn't designed that way. This machine was designed with a very large delay. So when you push this button, you had to hold it in for a few seconds, and then the arm would swing. Well, that makes it really, really, really impossible in order to time getting that arm to move and push your prize. So customers didn't like playing it for that reason. Now, Marty, being in the business as long as he was, and I also as a kid being in the business as long as I was, starting as a player and then, into an operator, I know when I played these games as a kid, you want to push the button and the arm should start moving rather instantly. So I agreed with him that that's not the way it should have been done. So I had to redesign each one of the stations so that when you push the button, it would instantly move. Now, you would think that that would be an easy thing to do because you're simply taking out the time delay, but they didn't have a time delay. What they had, oddly enough, was a miss. It wasn't a miss because they did this on purpose, but it was misdone for the feeling that we wanted to have. So the cam sensors on the wheel would turn off the cam when it was at the back position instead of turning off the cam when it was in the front position, so that when it started, it was ready to move. All right. So when it would turn off at the back position and you would push the button, the cam had to first turn around to get to the front position before it would move the arm. And that would cause this giant delay. I guess that's the effect they wanted, but that's not the effect that it should have had. So I had to reconfigure it so that it would turn off the cycle in the front position instead of the back position, and therefore it would work properly. So I redid it. I moved some switches around, moved some cams, changed wiring, and I went home because I was there for the weekend. The next week I came down, the machine was all taped. I was like, what happened? I had that working perfectly before I left. And the answer was, well, a coin got stuck or something, and they sent George over, and George was working on it. He was their main mechanic at the time, and it wasn't working right, so he undid all my modifications. And it was back to its original horror. And I said to Marty, I said, so should I fix it again? And he says, I'm done with it. He says, you want it, take it home with you. So I did, and there it is. And it's sitting here all these years. And who made this thing? Leisure and Allied Industries, Perth in Australia. It's an Australian machine. That's why you don't see these things around. Well, when I got it, of course, I had to modify it back to the way I was going to run it, and it should run. Of course, you don't undo Randy work. You put it back the way it was. So I modified it back. It came over here. It's been standing here, and it has never been operated because Randyland has never opened. So it's sitting here, and it's waiting, and it's got Randy bobbleheads sitting in there as wonderful prizes. So I don't know. Someday, maybe. I don't know how I got it in the door. It's bigger than the door. You know what? I had to put this on its side and kind of rolled it in because it's wider than it is tall. And if you take it off the legs, I remember I might have had to take it off the legs in order to get it in the transport vehicle. It's really, really bad because there's mechanisms that go hanging underneath it to go into the leg stands. So you got to be careful not to break any of the mechanisms and then try to lift that up there and get that back. I mean, it's just one of these things that you don't want to do. You want to move it together so it doesn't get hurt, and it's just very, very heavy. Big and heavy. That seems to be the theme of Randy's stuff. Big and heavy. Big giant gumball machines, big giant fascination machines, big giant animatronic figures, big giant rotary merchandisers. You can't have a single, you have to have a 6-player. This is life in Randyland. So with that, we will say we'll see you next time on the Main Street Randyland YouTube channel. Bye, guys. Randy bobbleheads, best prize ever.